I will never forget the moment that I realized my family was in trouble. I was at home, and I walked past my daughter's bedroom, and I saw her sitting on the floor. She was leaning against the wall, staring at nothing. I remember feeling stunned by the amount of sadness I could feel coming from her. And I managed to ask her, "Don't you want to play with your toys?" Without even looking at me, she shook her head no. The moment felt so surreal. I asked myself, am I seeing this correctly? My daughter appearing to head towards depression? What kindergartner doesn't want to play with their toys after school? I thought this type of thing happened in homes with trauma, and that wasn't us. We weren't perfect, but I never doubted we had what it took to raise a mentally healthy family. We were loving, we were caring, involved, and we provided lots of opportunity for fun and growth. And if you're not a parent, this information still applies to you. Here's why. The relationship that you have with your caregiver, especially in those first 7 years, shapes your behavior well into adulthood, including how you handle your emotions, your self-esteem, and the relationships you choose. I had tried so hard to get the parenting thing right. For over 6 years, I read every parenting book you could think of. I even did all the courses in a parenting app. But honestly, timeouts, revoked screen time, nothing worked. By the time my girls were ages 6, 7, and 9, my house felt more like a battlefield. The struggles were from morning until night, getting ready for school, homework after school, dinner time, bedtime, even vacations. My kids would not listen, and I was yelling all day long. And I know I'm not alone in these struggles. Our country is facing a mental health crisis. Most likely, you know more than a few who struggle from anxiety or depression or who seek therapy. According to the US Department of Health and Human Services, in 2023, nearly 1 in 3 adolescents needed mental health treatment. And over 22% of adults reported mental illness. What is happening? Why is happiness so elusive, even in loving, well-meaning homes? When I discovered the issue, I knew I needed to tell as many as I could as quickly as possible. My mind was blown at what I had discovered. I learned that the key to happiness is authenticity. That's it. Simply be yourself. The issue is many parents, teachers, and caregivers, those who are trying the hardest to support youth, often have unconscious tendencies that can negatively impact self-esteem. We'll look at 2 of the unconscious tendencies. First, our society often mislabels developmentally appropriate behaviors as bad. And you can test this right now. Imagine a child who throws a tantrum, or a child who hits their sibling, and a child who struggles to focus on schoolwork. Bad, right? For years, I thought so. But it turns out these behaviors are actually developmentally appropriate. The brain is doing the best it can. the ability to handle emotions smoothly instead of that tantrum, the ability to control impulses instead of hitting that sibling, and the ability to focus and follow instructions are functions of the prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex is this front part of the brain here, which is responsible for our ability to make good judgments. The issue is, this part of the brain doesn't begin forming until around age 7 and isn't finished until around 25. This explains why parenting and teaching are so challenging. Our expectations are often uneducated and unrealistic. Having to repeatedly tell children what to do, it's not a sign of disrespect. It's a sign of a growing brain. Let's look at the second unconscious issue. Our reactions to these bad behaviors are often full of shame, which can cause a lot more harm than we realize. For years, without even thinking about it, I would say to my kids, "Why can't you just focus? What is wrong with you? Why can't you listen?" I had no idea my children were taking my words literally until my daughter started to say things like, "I am dumb, I am bad, and I hate myself." Often, the caregiver's words become the child's inner voice. I mentioned handling emotions is also a function of the prefrontal cortex. I want to ask you, what do you know about emotions? Why do you have them? Anger? Sadness? What's the point? Emotions are the genius way your body signals to you that you have a need or a want that is not being met. However, for generations, our society dismisses and shames emotions. You might be familiar with phrases like, "Boys don't cry," and should a child stumble and look uncomfortable just for a moment, "You're fine, you're fine," as if emotions are flaws to erase. But emotions are an essential part of being a human, and there is a systematic and healthy way to process them. After a year of working on emotional intelligence in my home, I'll never forget a moment that my daughter came home and I could really see the power of that work. She was angry. She was saying hurtful words to me. I calmly responded, "I can see you're angry. I'm going to check on you in a minute." Within moments, she runs up to me, says, "Mom, I'm sorry. I was just overstimulated." Second grade, 8 years old, overstimulated? I didn't know that word until I was 40. Do you know how many times I could have used it before then? In the beginning, I mentioned there was no trauma in my home. Now I understand that trauma is not only major life-threatening experiences, but everyday subtle experiences of shame and criticism. These seemingly small moments gradually shape one's self-esteem. Trauma in my home that was preventable if I had this information. This was my tipping point. Why aren't we ensuring everyone has this life-saving information? How we handle emotions matters. Understanding our child's brain development and the power of our words is critical. And the effects of shame are severe. I've supported pediatricians and teachers who have said this information is not a part of their training. Can you imagine if it were? Teachers would ditch behavior charts aware that shaming children in front of peers hurts self-esteem. And pediatricians could encourage parents to soothe their babies instead of letting them cry it out. All parents deserve access to this information. It is not a luxury, it is a necessity. Isn't it backwards how parents are urged to take those birthing classes, but there is no routine parenting support from there on? The birth of a child is just the beginning, but the effects of the parent-child connection span a lifetime. Instead, we wait for families to break under the weight of disconnection, then spend thousands of dollars and countless of hours in therapy. This makes no sense. Let's invest in getting parents what they need from the start. The mental health crisis is real, and so is our capacity for change. I have 2 recommendations. First, let's equip those who have the largest impact on mental health, parents, teachers, caregivers, pediatricians, with education and skills that support a developing brain and the behaviors, that supports nonviolent communication and emotional intelligence. Second, it is never too late to repair a relationship with yourself or someone else. It requires honest, hard work to be really aware of your relationship habits and patterns, but you can start anytime, including right now. How kind are the words that you say and think about yourself? How's your self-esteem? And the next time you want to judge a behavior as bad or wrong, are you willing to pause and reframe, remind yourself they are doing the best that they can, whether it's an adult or a child? Next, are you willing to choose your words carefully, providing kind, constructive feedback instead of commanding and demanding? And last, are you willing to befriend your emotions as a wise guru, simply here to help you live your best life, aligned with your values? It turns out love is not enough to foster a mentally healthy society. When we learn to embrace self-esteem as the foundation of well-being, we can transform mental health outcomes for families, communities, and future generations.